Let's get started with the session. I'm Pratibha and I'll be the presenter for today's session. I have Nikita and Aditya here with me who will be answering your queries. And as I told you, you can post your queries in the Q&A section that you'll find at the bottom of your screen. So that's about that. Now, coming to this webinar. So this webinar will primarily help ZeptoMail users get started with email sending. We'll give you tips and best practices that you should follow to get your email sending right. And in addition to that, we have a Q&A session to help clear your queries. So this session will be at the end. And you, in between also, if you have any questions, as I told you, you can use the Q&A button and post them. With that, let's look at the agenda for today's session. So first off, we'll have a quick introduction to Zoho and ZeptoMail and proceed to look at the different email sending methods that are available in ZeptoMail and have a demo on how to use these methods. Next, we'll look at the features that are required to get started with email sending. And as we get through these sessions, I'll give you a checklist of some of the best practices that you should follow as you start sending out emails from ZeptoMail. And with that, finally, we'll have a quick Q&A session. All right, so we'll jump into the session with a quick introduction to Zoho. So Zoho is a SaaS company that focuses on delivering software solutions for multiple use cases and industries. And we've been in this business for over 25 years now. And we have more than 55 plus applications which cater to multiple industries and are footing in 150 plus countries. We have about 15,000 plus employees who are actively working to get our products globally. And we have over 100 million user base with us. So of the 55 plus applications that I told you, there are 3 apps that focus on email sending. So we have Zoho Mail, which caters to business email solutions, and Zoho ZeptoMail, which is a dedicated transactional email sending service, and Zoho Campaigns, which is used for sending marketing emails. So the reason that we build separate services is that the different types of email satisfies a unique requirement, and having separate services will help us focus on each of these requirements separately and bring the best possible service for you. And as you know, today's session is about the transactional email service, which is ZeptoMail. So we'll quickly get started with a brief introduction to ZeptoMail. Now, as I told you, Zoho ZeptoMail is a product that is focused on sending transactional emails. And transactional emails are nothing but emails which are sent as an acknowledgement for an action a user performs on an application or website. And as a business owner, you'll constantly be relying on these emails to communicate with your customers. And some of the examples of transactional emails are your OTP emails, your welcome emails, account update emails, password reset emails, invoices, and more. So ZeptoMail essentially comes between the application owners and their customers. And these application owners can use ZeptoMail to send these emails without having to build a whole email infrastructure from scratch. Now, to use ZeptoMail to send these emails, first, you should have an account with ZeptoMail and a verified domain added to it. So the detailed account creation process is available on our help guides and previous webinar recording on our YouTube channel. So you can take a look at that. I've also given the link to our YouTube channel in the chat too. So please take note of the link and you can refer to it later on. So right now, I'm just going to give you a brief about the account creation process without getting into the details of it. So the first step when you create your account is to sign up for the service and validate the email address that you'll be using to log in. And in the next step, you should add the domain that you'll use to send emails from. And finally, you should verify the domain to authenticate it. So you can verify a domain by adding the CNAME and the DKIM values that's shown here to your DNS settings, provider settings. And by verifying your domain, you essentially tell the recipient server that your domain can be trusted and that your emails are coming from a valid source. So once you verify your domain, your account is ready for email sending. So these 3 steps are the account setup process that you have here. Now, after you create a domain, you have to fill out the customer validation form and submit it to us. Now, the aim of us asking you to do is to get to know your needs better And this will help us understand if your business needs align with our product's purpose, which is sending transactional emails only. Also, it's mandatory to have a verified domain before you fill out the customer validation form. So as soon as you verify your domain, do fill out the form even before you start sending your emails. Also, this form is the very first step you will take to fully start sending emails from your ZeptoMail account. And once you create your account, to send your emails, you'll be given one free credit using which you can start sending your emails. And this one credit will allow you to send out 10,000 emails. One point to note is that until you get your account reviewed, you'll have a cap on these emails. So you'll be able to send only 100 emails per day. But after you get your account reviewed, you can purchase and send as many emails as you want. So these are the steps that you'll follow when you get started with ZeptoMail. Now coming to the aim of today's session, which is email sending. So there are two methods that's available in Zoho ZeptoMail to send out your emails. The first one is the SMTP method. The second is using APIs. So we'll quickly look at these methods and how you can send out emails using them. Starting with, first we're going to talk about SMTP, or the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. So SMTP is the method using which any type of email is sent over the internet. And SMTP has a set of rules and regulations based on which the mail transfer should take place. And this SMTP method uses intermediary servers for this. And these servers communicate with each other using certain commands, and they make sure that the email gets to the recipient. So that's the basics of the SMTP method. Now coming to configuring ZeptoMail to send emails using SMTP. Now, as a first step, as soon as you create your account and you verify your domain, you will be taken to a section called the mail agent. So we'll talk more on this in a while, but for now, know that mail agents offer a means to segment the different emails you send out into groups. And each mail agent has a unique API and SMTP credentials for that. So this makes sure that the email groups you have created have a unique channel which is separate from the rest. So along with that, every mail agent has a domain or domains associated with it, which will be used to send out emails. And this will be a starting point before you get started to sending your emails. Now, when it comes to email sending using SMTP, there are two use cases. So the first one is when you already have an email client set up to send your emails. In that case, you can simply add the SMTP server name and port details that's available in ZeptoMail to your application settings. And as you can see on the right, this is a web app which allows SMTP credentials to send out emails. And you have the space here to add your SMTP server details and the port details here. So in a similar fashion, you can copy paste the values that's available in your ZeptoMail account and send out emails. And you'll find the values that you should replace in this SMTP section within the mail agent. So that's one use case that we have. Next, the next method that we're going to talk about is fully copy pasting the code to your application. And we'll see how we can do that. So first here, we have an application prototype that we've developed. And this application is developed using Node.js. So this is a pretty simple application which will send an email to the recipient address we give. And now I'm going to navigate to the ZeptoMail account I'll be using. And I'm using the password reset mail agent. And within that mail agent, we have the setup info section, which has the SMTP code we'll be using. So I'm going to navigate to the SMTP tab. And on the right, we have a list of sample codes. And from that list, I'm going to pick Node.js because my application is developed using Node.js. And I'm quickly copying the code. And we'll get to the application's backend to paste this code. So now, when we click the reset password button in the UI, the application code will be executed. And for ZeptoMail's email sending code to be executed, we'll be pasting it within this code block here. So I've pasted the code here. Now the next step, so the success message for the code will be shown in the console itself, but I want it to be shown in the application's UI. So I'm just going to write a quick code line for that. And the message that I'm typing out here will be shown in the application's UI once I send the email. Now, once that's done, we're going to run the code and check if everything is in place. All right, everything is fine. So now we're going to go back to the application and send our email. So the email is sent. Now, this email that was just sent to the recipient was sent using the SMTP credentials that we added. So this is how you copy paste the code to your application and configure SMTP to send out emails for you. All right, I hope it's clear so far. Now, moving on, I have a couple of best practices that you should follow as you start using SMTP for your emails. So the first one is, now, based on the DC that you're operating from, the server name will vary. Of course, this value will automatically be available based on the DC where your account is hosted. But just to be sure, verify it once before you send your emails. So say, for example, your account is hosted in India. So the value here, the server name will be smtp.zeptomail.in. And for US, it will be smtp.zeptomail.com and so on. So that's one point. The second point is, in the backend, the connection to the SMTP server can be done using two ports. So we have 465 and 587. So based on the encryption certificates you have, you can choose between the two of these ports. So if you have an SSL certificate, you can go for 465. And if you have TLS, you can use 587. So in case you opt for TLS, you'll be using the 587 port. And it's important to note that ZeptoMail's SMTP supports TLS versions 1.2 and above only. So keep that point in mind when you're going to opt for the ports. And coming to the point on weaker credentials. So now some applications have restrictions on their SMTP passwords character length, and this is mainly applicable for legacy applications. And in that case, you might have to go for a shorter length, which can be generated using this weaker credential option within your SMTP section in the mail agent. So if you've already copy pasted the code with a longer password, then you should first generate the shorter password and copy the new code to your application. So these are some of the points and some of the best practices to keep in mind. Now, before we move on to the next section, we're going to have a quick discussion on the email sending process as such. So right now, I showed you a prototype of an application that we built, but it may not be the same in real time. Now, some of the differences that you'll encounter between this prototype and the real-time applications are, first one, in the language this application is built using. Now, every application will have its own native language. So when you're copying the SMTP code, make sure you pick up the language your application is built on. So for example, the prototype that we used was built on Node.js. So I picked Node.js from the list and copied the code. Similarly, choose the language that your application is built on. And next, coming to the whole process of email sending as such. Now in this example, I manually typed out the recipient details and sent the emails. But in real time, there'll be provisions within the code that will automate this. So transaction emails are automated emails. So that's how automated emails work too. So a trigger will occur and this email will be sent as a response to it. And this automation will be done within the code using iterative loops or similar processes. Since I wanted to show you this actual use of SMTP code, I manually sent the emails, but that's not how it will be in the real time. So that's about the SMTP method and some of the best practices. Now, moving on to the next section, we have APIs or application programming interface. A quick introduction to API. So API is basically a mechanism using which applications can communicate with each other. And application can use these APIs to adopt certain features from other app or perform specific actions on data which is available within the same app. And the actions that the APIs can perform are called CRUD actions, which is creating, reading, updating, and deleting. And one such feature that application developers can use APIs for is sending emails. And email service providers have specific APIs for this. And to use these APIs, the application developer should add the API code to their product code and use this. So that's about the introduction to API. Now let's look at email sending using APIs. Now we have the application here. So this is the application we've developed for this purpose. And I'm going to go to the ZeptoMail account. And this is the security code mail agent, which I'll be copying the API code from. So this is the setup info section. And inside that, we're going to go to the API tab here. And similarly, our application is built using Node.js. So I've selected Node.js here. I'm going to copy the code. So I've copied the code. Now, this is the application's backend. And I'll quickly paste the code here. All right. And I'm going to save the code. And we'll just run this to check if everything is in place. Okay, everything is fine. So we've pasted the code here. Now we'll get to the application. Okay, so we've sent the code and you'll find the success message here in the console. So this was a deliberate effort because deliberately I didn't want to add the UI message there. I wanted to show how it will be, how the message will be displayed in the console. So if you don't have a UI message to be displayed, this is how you'll find the success message. It'll be right there with your console. All right. So I hope this method of sending emails using API clear. It's pretty similar to what we did for SMTP too. Now, I'm going to quickly get back to the presentation now. All right. And a couple of points to note. Again, just as we saw in the SMTP method. So the first one is be sure you pick the language your application is built on. And again, this whole process of email sending in real time is different from what we just saw. So the email sending process is automated and not manual. I wanted to show you how it is done, so I did this manually. So that's about API and SMTP. Moving on, let's talk about choosing these two methods. Now, both are great methods, but one key point to consider is that, say you have an application which is built over, then SMTP would be a better fit for you. So this is because the application, everything in the application will already be in place, the SMTP configurations. So you can simply plug in your SMTP credentials and add the port values, username and password like how we saw, and you're good to go. On the other hand, if you've built your application from scratch and you're looking to adopt an email sending feature, then you can go with APIs. So you can copy paste API code to your application code and start using it. This is because you're already tinkering around with the code and API will be easy for you to get started with. So while choosing between these two, one of the main difference that comes is in the type of the application you have and in their usage. Both are great methods, and you can just keep this point in mind if you were to choose between these two methods. So that's about SMTP and API method we have here in ZeptoMail. So we've covered the email sending part. Now there are some features that you should know when you start sending emails from ZeptoMail, and let's have a quick look at them. First one is mail agent. Now, as a business, you'll be sending out different types of emails like welcome emails, invoices, and more. And you'll constantly be monitoring them to keep track of their performance. Now, a collated stats for these different types will work in the initial stages of a business. But as the number of outgoing emails goes up, sifting through the list will be a hassle, especially when you need information on a specific type of email. Now, in such cases, rather than having all your email details in one place, ZeptoMail gives you the option to categorize and separate them using mail agents. Now, say you have an e-commerce store, then you can have a separate mail agent based on the type of emails you send. So you can have one mail agent for your welcome emails, one for your password reset emails, and more. Or if you have multiple stores, then you can use a mail agent for each store. And another categorization that you can have is based on your development environment. So you can assign one mail agent for your UAT or one for your production environment and more. Now, A separation like this between these stages will help you assess your email's performance better. And also, the categorization that I've given here is just some of the example categorization, but how you can separate and segregate your emails up to your needs. So the mail agents in ZeptoMail is they are listed here like this in the left side. And moreover, as I told you, this separation between the mail agents is not at the eye level and it runs deep. We saw how each mail agent has a unique API and SMTP credentials, and this ensures that they have a separate channel. Not only this, each mail agent is a whole operating unit in itself, and it has every feature which is necessary to monitor the emails being sent out. So we have real-time updates on specific email statuses like bounces, opens, and clicks. And we also get instant stats in the form of webhooks, which will help you monitor these emails' performance. Also, a dedicated channel means dedicated reports. And each mail agent has detailed graphs that give information on these email statuses. And all the information that you find within the mail agent is specific to that mail agent alone. And also, as you can see from this image here, there are multiple features available within a mail agent. But in this session, we're going to talk about two features which will be great help as you start sending emails. So the first one in this list are templates. Now, a major difference between the SMTP and API method is the use of preset templates. And you can build and use these templates while sending emails using APIs. So moreover, having a preset template for each of these emails without writing them from scratch will make your job so much easier. So to use and create a template in a mail agent, you just should navigate to the Design Mail Agent, go to the Templates tab here and click on the Add Template option. And once you select the Add Template option, you'll be presented with a huge library of template options that you can pick from. And you'll find that there are at least 2 options for each of these emails. So you can pick the one that you want. Now, once you pick the template, you can edit it. So this is the screenshot of the editor. And there are multiple editing options available and you can use them. So amongst those options, there's one component which is called the placeholder. So placeholders are like variables that take up a value that's assigned to them. For example, in the image that's shown here, we have the product name placeholder. So this product name placeholder will be assigned a value, a variable to it, and whichever value the variable takes will be replaced with this placeholder. So placeholders are dynamic elements and their values will change based on the recipient or the application information. So once you edit and create a template for a mail agent, it will be listed in the template section of that mail agent. And each template is identified using a template key. So if you want to use a particular template key, you can just add, if you want to use a particular template, you can just add this template key to your API code and you're good to go. Also, you can edit the templates that you've added to your mail agent. So this edit section has 5 subsections. And the first one in that is this template info section, where you'll find all the information related to the template. So that you'll see the subject of the template key, and the storage size. Also, the preview on the right will give you the mobile and the desktop view of the email. So you can optimize your template to suit these 2 modes. And you also have the option to see how your email looks in the dark mode, so that you can build your email to suit that too. Next, we have 2 sections within this edit option, which is the single email setup and batch email setup. So single emails are those that have only one message that is sent to multiple recipients. The contents of the message will not change, and it's the same message for everybody. So one example of a single email setup is, or a single email is, a common reminder email which is sent to all the members who signed up for a demo. So the merge info values here or the placeholders here will not change. And batch emails. So batch emails are emails whose contents will vary from user to user. For example, say a business sends a monthly billing summary to all its subscribers. In such a case, Although the message will be the same, the subscription details will vary from customer to customer. So this batch email setup is where the placeholders will be of use to you. And you'll find the template key option right here within the API's body. So this template key is available by default when you choose the batch or the single email setup. But as I told you, if you want to use a template while sending a normal API email, you can just copy this template key to your API code. So that's how you create a template. And once you create and edit your template to your liking, it will be available for your use. So that's the first section. And the second section that is there in the mail agent is the processed email section. So the processed email section lists the statuses of all the outgoing emails. And it's not just for listing. This section will give you a detailed information relevant to the emails that are listed here. So when you click on an email that's listed, you'll find all the information about it. So for example, in our API email here, you'll be able to see the date, the subject of the email, the mail agent name, how this email was sent, which method it was sent using, and also the IP from where this email call has been triggered to ZeptoMail server. And apart from this, we have the information on timeline on the right. So timeline will give you the different stages the email has traveled before it reached the recipient. So you'll find information on that using the timeline option. And next, you can also view your email's contents in the content preview tab. And to view the contents, the email's contents, you should first enable the option, and this will help you store the email's contents from that you can view in the processed email section. And one more point about this processed email section is that ZeptoMail stores 60 days worth of email logs, and which is a competitive storage limit that we offer. And in that 60 days period, you can export the desired logs and save them to your local device. So the features that we saw are some of the primary features that are necessary to get started with email sending. But next, I'm going to go through the features that are there, which are good to have as you start sending out emails using ZeptoMail. And the first one in that list is sender address. So now you can restrict email sending from particular email addresses using this option. So once you add and verify a domain, you can enable the option to add the restricted email addresses for that domain, and you can use them to send out emails for you. So once you enable the sender address restriction for a domain, you should make sure that the emails are triggered from that assigned sender addresses alone. So that's about sender address. The next feature is IP restriction. Now, before we get into what an IP restriction is, this is the email flow that we have here in ZeptoMail. So first, we have an action will be performed in the application, and this will trigger an email call to ZeptoMail. So ZeptoMail will receive and process the call, and finally relay the email to the recipient under the application's name. So usually, the call made from application to ZeptoMail will be from a recognized IP, and this could be from the organization premises. So now, if a third-party entity gains control of the credentials, they can operate the application from anywhere to send emails. And when they operate the application from anywhere, the sending IP will vary from the organization's IP. Now, by adding a list of allowed IPs, you as the application owner can ensure that your emails are sent from secure and recognized IPs only. And the feature that lets you do this is called IP restriction. Now, there are two types of IP restrictions in ZeptoMail. So one is the account level IP restriction, and another is the mail agent level IP restriction. And if an account has both the account level and mail agent level IP restriction enabled, the mail agent IP restriction will be given precedence. So that's about the features list that will be used when you start sending emails from ZeptoMail. Now, finally, before we wind up, I'm going to give you a quick checklist of the best practices you should follow. So the first one is make sure you don't use your ZeptoMail account to send bulk emails. So using ZeptoMail to send bulk emails or any sort of promotional content will lead to your account being blocked in the long run. And the next point is make sure you authenticate your email sending domain. So as I told you, authenticating your domain is a great way to show the email providers that you are a credible source. And you can verify your domain by adding the CNAME and DKIM values to your DNS settings. And the third point is, be sure to track your account activity. So tracking your email metrics regularly will keep you updated on the bounce, opens, and clicks. And this information will let you know how your recipients have interacted with your emails, and you can tweak your emails if needed based on these on these reports. And finally, so this is a very rare case, but we'll still take a look at it. Now, ESPs have spam filtering algorithms that look for spammy words in emails. And in the rare instance that your email contains words that these filters recognize as spam, the ESPs may flag your email as suspicious. So be sure not to use those words that may be associated with spam to avoid your emails from being marked as suspicious. So that's about today's session. This was a quick session that showed you how you can get started with email sending in ZeptoMail. And we've come to the last part. So let me give you a quick refresher on everything that we covered here today. So we started the session with a brief on the account setup process, followed by an introduction to the email sending methods in ZeptoMail. And we had a quick introduction to the two email sending methods, SMTP and API, followed by a demo on them. And then we had a quick look at the ways in which you can organize your emails using Mail Agent and how you can use templates to build your emails. And we also took a look at the processed email section. Following that, we looked at the additional features that will, that are nice to have as you start sending emails in ZeptoMail. And in the last part, I gave you some of the best practices that you should follow just in general when you start sending emails. So I hope everything was clear so far. Now, thank you so much for attending and staying with us for this long. Have a nice day. Thank you.